Your blood tests look normal. The report says within range. The doctor says, nothing to worry about. But what if those numbers are not showing health, only how hard your body is working to hide damage? What if disease doesn't wait for abnormal results, but develops quietly, while tests still look reassuring? In this video, you'll understand why blood tests often stay normal while cellular damage is already happening, and why waiting for numbers to change is often waiting too long. Have you ever gotten your blood test results back, seen everything marked as normal, and breathed a huge sigh of relief? We all do it. We see those numbers sitting comfortably within range, and we assume everything is fine. After all, blood tests are scientific, objective, precise. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Your blood tests might be lying to you. They don't show health. They show late-stage imbalance. By the time your blood markers have clearly changed, a long, quiet process has already been unfolding inside your body. This is why so many people hear the same frustrating sentence from their doctors, year after year. Your tests look normal. There's nothing to worry about. Right up until the moment there is. Biology doesn't fail suddenly. It fails quietly. To understand why your tests can look normal while damage is already happening, you have to understand what blood tests are actually measuring. See, disease doesn't start in the blood. The blood is just a transport system. It's like a superhighway, delivering oxygen and nutrients, and carrying away waste. Most blood tests are just measuring what's floating in that highway at one single moment in time. They're a snapshot. But disease develops like a movie, and the early scenes happen off-screen. These tests don't measure what's happening inside your cells. They don't show how hard your organs are working to compensate, or how much repair your body has already postponed just to keep things running. When cellular repair starts to slow down, your body doesn't panic. It's smarter than that. It adapts. Your cells become more efficient with less energy. Your organs redistribute their workload. Inflammation might rise just a tiny bit, enough to maintain stability but not enough to set off any alarms. This phase of quiet compensation can last for years. And during this whole time, your blood values often stay completely normal. Not because you're healthy, but because your body is working overtime to appear normal. Here's another secret. Normal lab ranges aren't necessarily optimal ranges. They're statistical averages. They are built from data that includes a huge population of people, many of whom already have some level of early dysfunction. So, when your test result is within range, it often just means one thing: your body is still able to compensate. But compensation isn't health, it's borrowed time. Your body is extraordinarily good at hiding damage. For example, your liver can lose a large part of its functional reserve before the enzyme levels in your blood ever start to rise. Your blood sugar can stay perfectly normal for years, while your insulin levels are silently climbing in the background, a sign of developing insulin resistance. Cholesterol can look acceptable while your blood vessels are already becoming inflamed. And kidney function tests often stay normal until a significant amount of filtration capacity is already lost. This isn't a failure of medical testing. It's just a reflection of how biology works. Blood markers are designed to detect breakdown, not early imbalance. They are tripwires that go off when systems are overwhelmed, but disease doesn't wait for systems to be overwhelmed. It begins the moment repair starts to fall behind damage. At first, your cells absorb the cost. Your mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells, produce energy a little less efficiently. Proteins might misfold a bit more often. Inflammation becomes low-grade and persistent. None of this triggers the alarms on a standard blood test because your body's top priority is survival and stability right now. And this is why the early stages of disease are silent. Not because nothing is wrong, but because everything is still being managed. Think of it like a building with hidden structural stress. At first, the main support beams just take on a little extra load. Tiny cracks start to form, but they're hidden behind the walls. From the outside, everything looks perfectly fine. A standard inspection shows nothing alarming. Until one day, the damage crosses a critical threshold, and suddenly, major problems appear, seemingly out of nowhere. This is exactly how biological disease progresses. Blood tests detect those thresholds. They don't detect trajectories. They don't tell you how long your system has been under strain, or how much repair debt has been quietly piling up. And this leads to one of the most dangerous misunderstandings in modern health: the belief that normal tests equal safety. People start to ignore the subtle signs their bodies are sending them because they trust the numbers on a piece of paper more than their own biology. They dismiss the constant fatigue. They write off their slow recovery after a workout. They ignore the fact that their sleep just doesn't feel restorative anymore. They tell themselves, well, my tests are fine, but these symptoms aren't random. They are the earliest signals that your body's repair systems are no longer keeping up with the damage. This is where the gap between modern medicine and fundamental biology becomes crystal clear. Medicine is trained to diagnose disease, which requires crossing a certain threshold. But biology is all about preventing collapse long before those thresholds are ever reached. By the time a blood marker becomes abnormal, the disease process is no longer early. It's established. Now, this doesn't mean blood tests are useless. They are absolutely essential tools. But we have to understand them in context. They are not early warning systems. They are confirmation systems. They confirm that your body's ability to compensate has finally failed. Relying solely on them creates a false sense of security because you're measuring the wrong stage of the process. The most important changes happen upstream, long before they show up in your blood. They happen inside your cells, inside your mitochondria, and inside the crucial repair systems that keep you healthy. When those systems start to slow down, your blood chemistry remains normal. Until it can't anymore. And when those blood markers finally change, it means your body has already been under strain for a very long time. This is why so many people are blindsided by a diagnosis and say, I don't understand. Everything was normal last year. The reality is, it wasn't normal. It was compensated. And there is a world of difference. Understanding this difference changes everything. It shifts our focus away from just chasing abnormal numbers on a lab report and toward learning how to recognize early biological imbalance. It explains why true prevention can't rely on tests alone. And it sets the stage for the most important question of all. If blood tests are late indicators, how do we recognize damage when it's just beginning? In part 2 of this series, we're going to go deeper. We will explore why standard reference ranges can be so misleading, how a state of normal can actually be normalized dysfunction, and what signals your body sends long before any test changes. Because, by the time the numbers finally move, your biology has already been speaking to you for years. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss part 2. In our last video, we established a pretty uncomfortable truth. Blood tests aren't the early warning systems we think they are. They are confirmation systems. They tell you when your body's ability to compensate has already failed, not when the damage first began. Now, we need to go deeper. Because, to understand why your tests can look normal for so long, you first have to understand how normal itself is defined. Most of us assume that the reference ranges on a lab report represent good health. They don't. Reference ranges are statistical tools. They recreated by taking samples from huge populations and then defining normal as the range where most people fall. But here's the critical, massive flaw in that approach. Modern populations are not biologically healthy. As a whole, we are chronically stressed, inflamed, sleep-deprived, and metabolically strained. So, when lab reference ranges are built from these populations, the definition of normal already includes a baseline level of dysfunction. This is how widespread, earlier stage problems become completely invisible. When your blood marker falls inside that normal range, it doesn't mean your system is running optimally. It simply means it hasn't crossed a specific diagnostic threshold yet. And those thresholds are set to detect established diseases, not to measure your biological resilience. This is precisely why someone can be told they re-normal for years and years while quietly losing their functional reserve. This is the key concept that most people never hear about from their doctors. Every single one of your organs has a reserve capacity. Your liver, for example, can compensate even after losing a massive amount of its function. Your kidneys can filter less efficiently, but still manage to keep your blood chemistry stable. Your pancreas can overproduce insulin for years to keep your blood sugar in the normal range. Your brain can reroute functions to hide cognitive decline. Blood tests don't measure this reserve. They measure the final output. As long as that output looks acceptable, the tests will appear normal. But behind the scenes, your reserve capacity could be draining away like a slow leak. And when that reserve finally drops below a critical level, the numbers on your lab report suddenly change. That moment feels like it came out of nowhere. But biologically, it's the end of a very long story. This is why doctors so often say things like, "Well, everything looked fine last year." They're not wrong, based on the data they had. But they're not seeing the whole picture. The medical system is trained to look for system failure. Biology, on the other hand, is concerned with system strain. And strain exists long before failure. Strain shows up in subtle ways, as small inefficiencies, the slight insulin resistance that forces your pancreas to work overtime just to keep your glucose normal. It's the mild, persistent inflammation that your body never fully resolves. It's your mitochondria producing a little less energy for every unit of fuel they burn. It's your body's repair processes taking just a little bit longer to activate. None of this is dramatic enough to violate a lab threshold. But all of it, taken together, accelerates aging and paves the road to disease. This is exactly where that frustrating gap comes from, the gap between you feeling off and your doctor telling you refine. Your body is experiencing the biological reality of strain, but the tests don't reflect it yet. This creates a dangerous disconnect. People start to doubt their own internal signals. They ignore their fatigue, thinking it's just part of life. They normalize brain fog. They accept poor sleep as a normal part of getting older. They essentially override their own biology with the reassurance of a normal lab report. But here's the thing. Biology doesn't respond to reassurance. It responds to signals. And when the signal for repair is repeatedly delayed or ignored, damage quietly accumulates. Your blood doesn't reveal this process. Your cells do, your mitochondria do, your tissues do. By the time your blood chemistry finally shifts, the cellular environment has already changed dramatically. This is why true prevention can't rely on chasing numbers alone. True prevention means understanding your trajectory, not just looking at thresholds. It means asking a different set of questions. Not, is this test result abnormal? But, how hard is my system working just to stay normal? Not, is this number within range? But, how much reserve capacity do I have left? Standard blood tests, by themselves, cannot answer these questions. They have to be interpreted in a larger context. That context includes your sleep quality, your daily stress load, your recovery speed after exercise, your body's inflammatory signals, and your metabolic flexibility. These are all biological signals, not diagnostic labels. And this is why early-stage disease is so often missed. It's not because doctors are careless. It's because the entire system is designed to detect a breakdown, not to notice a gradual drift towards that breakdown. Medicine is, by necessity, reactive. Biology is, by its nature, predictive. When we ignore our biology, we end up shocked by a diagnosis. People say, "I never saw this coming." But their body did. Their body had been adapting, compensating, and straining for years. This understanding reframes the entire concept of disease. Disease isn't an event that happens to you one day. It's a process. It's a slow, gradual movement from resilience to compensation, and finally to exhaustion. Blood tests are designed to catch that last phase, exhaustion, but the most important decisions, the ones that can actually change the outcome, need to happen much, much earlier. This is also why the modern obsession with achieving perfect numbers on a lab test often misses the point entirely. You can optimize your lab values while completely ignoring the underlying biological processes. And when those processes finally fail, the numbers will follow, no matter how perfect they once looked. Now, this doesn't mean we should dismiss blood tests. Of course not. They are essential and powerful tools, but they are incomplete maps. They show you where your system is right now, but they don't tell you how it got there or where it's heading. Understanding your health requires combining that medical data with deep biological insight. It requires learning to listen to the subtle signals your body sends long before any threshold is ever crossed. Because once that threshold is crossed, your body has already paid a very high price. And this brings us to the most important mental shift of all. Health is not the absence of abnormal numbers on a lab report. Health is the presence of robust, efficient repair capacity. When your repair systems are strong, damage is cleared out early. Your reserve is preserved. The aging process slows down. But when your repair systems are delayed or overwhelmed, your numbers can stay perfectly normal, right up until the moment they suddenly don't. This is the illusion of safety. And breaking that illusion is the very first step toward true, meaningful prevention. In the next video, we're going to move from this theory into specific, concrete examples. We'll look at how this silent process unfolds in some of our most vital organs: the liver, the heart, the kidneys, and the brain. We'll explore why these organs so often fail quietly, without pain, without obvious warning signs, until the damage is already significant. Because understanding where disease hides is the only way to stop waiting for symptoms and start building real, lasting health. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.